Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Look, we need to talk. There's been an announcement from Blizzard regarding the future of Stadium, and I'll put it up on the screen for you guys just in case you haven't seen it. But the general gist of it is that Blizzard is no longer planning to add new heroes or maps to Stadium and will focus purely on balance updates and fixes. It seems like they've based this decision on the size of the player base, with Overwatch Stadium competitive and quick play sitting right at the bottom of the current game modes. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the announcement itself. This announcement was hugely disappointing, but not for the reasons you guys might think. I'm disappointed because it was a huge slap in the face to the dedicated Stadium community as they tried to sell the fact that the developers are being reassigned as a hype point for the rest of Overwatch. Yeah, thanks for that. Apparently, we should be happy that the talented developers are moving away from the game mode we primarily enjoy and going somewhere else to create more skins or sell something. It's just, where was the consideration for the people who are simply heartbroken by this announcement? It could have been worded so much better, but regardless, it doesn't change the message. So, the next thing that I want to address is the numbers themselves. They're probably quite misleading. For one, I know that there's a lot of players who would play some games of Stadium and then they'd go off and play some regular games of Overwatch. And in this scenario, they'd be counted in the stats for both game modes, whereas a lot of the regular core Overwatch players may go days or weeks or months without ever playing a game of Stadium. What I'm trying to say is that the numbers do not tell the full story. But what we can take away from it is that Stadium is clearly not as popular as Blizzard hoped. And more importantly, it's not popular enough to warrant the amount of developer resources it requires to continue designing and implementing new heroes and maps for. The last thing that I want to complain about with the announcement is the message that it sent. Because the poor wording, many people's takeaway is that Overwatch Stadium is dead. It's not at all. Like, Blizzard has already added most of the heroes that they could have easily added to Stadium with their existing kits. And there's a number of heroes that if they did add them to Stadium, they'd just straight up break the game. Like, without fundamental changes being made to Stadium's core, they just couldn't be implemented. Like, for example, you couldn't possibly add Wrecking Ball into Stadium with the existing general item set. A few of the damage reduction items, and you'd never actually be able to get him off of an objective. The only way to implement heroes like this would be to remove almost all of the general items and instead give every hero their own complete set of individual items. And naturally, this would require an unbelievable amount of development resources to achieve. So I think Blizzard simply reached a point where further hero implementations were no longer easy and just opted not to invest their resources into forcing it, just for the sake of completion. So this doesn't mean that the game is dead. It just means, look, we have our hero lineup. Now, Blizzard can focus on the smaller elements and they can improve the quality of the games. Now, I'll probably get into that a bit more later, but for now, it is time for a reality check. We need to think like Blizzard for a moment and realize the business side of this announcement. Stadium is a very complex game mode, and adding additional heroes is no doubt a long, time-consuming process. It's not as simple as just enabling the hero for Overwatch Stadium. Most of the time when a new hero is added, various new animations and sounds and new UI elements have to be created. Thought needs to go into each power and item set, and then they need to consider the impact of that hero on the existing Stadium setup. All of this no doubt requires a huge number of development resources, and realistically, it is a bad use of those limited resources considering Stadium's popularity or lack of. That is the reality of the situation, I'm afraid. I think Blizzard have actually made the correct decision from a business perspective with this one. And yes, it sucks as a player of the game, but I understand where they're coming from. And I think that's important. One point I would like to make though, while adding new heroes can be exciting in the short term, many of the recent additions, in my opinion, have actually made Stadium worse. Like, rushed inclusions of heroes just to try and keep people interested in the game have probably ended up pushing more players away from the game mode because not enough time went into balancing them for both the current state of the game and considering the impact of the new Heroes kit on the existing setup. So introducing too many variables too quickly for Stadium is a disaster, and while it may make somebody hit the Q button once just to see what the hero is like, after they've experienced a few poor games because of various imbalances, they'll just never return. It's just not good for player retention. It's good for the quick wins. People queue up and it's like, oh wow, okay, we've got the hero. And then the content creators can go and make a nice video about them. But beyond that, are they actually improving the game? Maybe some, but I think a lot are not. What I'm trying to say is that no new hero releases is actually bittersweet. We'll forever be curious what it would be like to play with some heroes that haven't been included, and for the players whose mains are not already in the game, it will no doubt be a huge disappointment. But for the players who are already enjoying the game, the existing gameplay can now continuously improve without having something new and broken every season to ride out until they provide some fixes a few seasons later. It normally takes them quite a while, let's be honest. And in the meantime, we have to play the game in that broken state. Now I know many people will disagree with me on the surface with this one, and it's all about the new content that keeps them excited. But I do believe that enough of the dedicated Stadium fans will see where I'm coming from with this one. And it potentially could be quite exciting. Like, it could lead to some small growth once the game becomes more and more balanced as we just start to fine-tune what we already have. So, I mean, that's it. That's where we're currently at. But wait. What if we wanted to be a bit more ambitious here? What if the passion of the Stadium community ignited with this announcement, rather than just sitting there wallowing in defeat? This could be the opportunity to prove to Blizzard what the 3% really means. Look, our community is small, but we are possibly more connected than any other area of Overwatch. Through the constant late night Discord debates, Stadium build submissions, Reddit posts, theory crafting, figuring out all the game numbers, the Twitch streams, the YouTube videos that people hit the like button on because it really helps the creator out, so hitting that like button would really do them a favor and they would appreciate it. What if we as a community were more involved in Stadium's development? We've got a lot of smart people with thousands of hours theory crafting and playing the game, and Blizzard has expressed the need to reduce their development resources allocated to Stadium. What if we pitched to them the idea of a community-led project where a small group of dedicated Stadium enthusiasts could use their vast knowledge and collaborate to produce game changes and balancing suggestions in a more official capacity? What if this is an opportunity? They've recently showcased a content creator patch where some of the largest personalities helped create a fun game mode by making suggestions. But what if Blizzard allowed us to take this to the next level? I'm not talking about some random, people throwing out random ideas on a Discord server directly at Blizzard. I'm on about structured, analytical community development proposals, saving Blizzard resources and putting the game's future more in the hands of the players that enjoy it, by the players, for the players. Now, this is not a new concept. Some of the best games have been developed through the modding communities, and it's also a great chance for Blizzard PR relations to start an ambitious project in Overwatch Stadium while simultaneously reducing their development resources allocated to Stadium. Let us do the thinking. Let us improve the game. Let us attract the new players by making Stadium the best possible version of itself. And then maybe, just maybe, they will see what investing in this little 3% really means. Now, for those of you who made it to the end of the video, thank you for hearing me out. But the world could always use more heroes, and there's something that you can still do to help. The community has put out a petition to save Stadium. Now, sure, petitions may or may not achieve anything, but look, you can find the link in the video description. And if you do want to help spread the word that we still love playing Overwatch Stadium and we want it to continue, then yeah, go and take a look at it. Now, I know not everyone will agree with my takes, and some people will outright fundamentally disagree with a lot of the things that I've said in this video, but look, Differences in opinion are less important than getting the conversations going in the first place. And we need to talk more about Stadium, not less, if we want the game mode to survive. Or, you know what? Prove everyone wrong and actually thrive. Guys, thank you very much for watching. And hopefully, we'll see you in the next one.